Her phone buzzed once. The message was short, just 3 words. "It's ready now." She stood, moving against the flow of people, eyes locked ahead. Conversations faded. The air thickened. Every step drew more stares, some confused, some tense. She stopped in front of the person everyone else seemed to obey. No one spoke. Then, in a voice calm enough to chill the cabin, she said something that instantly made the color drain from their face. Nobody laughed now. Nobody moved. This was about to change everything. It was the kind of evening that promised nothing unusual. The airline's private lounge was bathed in soft, golden light, with the faint scent of freshly brewed coffee lingering in the air. Business. Travelers murmured over their laptops, sipping champagne. A woman sat quietly at the far end of the lounge, reviewing a few notes on her tablet. Her name was Ava Morgan. To anyone glancing her way, she looked like any other professional preparing. For a long flight, tailored gray suit, discreet pearl earrings, no flashy logos or loud colors. Ava had always preferred it that way. She didn't need the world to see her wealth, to know her worth. No one recognized her as the founder and CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech empire, and Ava liked it that way. There was comfort in anonymity. The chance to move through life without preconceptions, without the constant lens of expectation or judgment. Or so she thought. Boarding began smoothly. She was among the first to walk through the jet bridge, and her boarding pass was scanned. Without issue, she found her seat in the front row of the VIP business cabin. A wide leather recliner by the window, a polished tray table waiting, and a glass of sparkling water already set. She placed her briefcase neatly under the seat, inhaled, and prepared to settle in. The hum of boarding passengers filled the air when a young white flight attendant approached. Her smile was practiced but hollow, eyes scanning Ava up and down. "Excuse me," she said, voice dipped in honey yet lined with something sharper. "It seems there's been a seat assignment error. This seat is for priority passengers. I'll have to ask you to move to economy." The words landed like cold water. Ava blinked, steady, her mind noting every detail. The stiff tone, the way a man in the next seat leaned in to listen, the faint chuckle from someone across the aisle. They didn't know it yet, but this ordinary evening was about to become unforgettable. Ava kept her voice even, explaining that she had booked and paid for this seat weeks ago. Her boarding pass clearly displayed the seat number. The attendant's smile thinned. "I understand, but our system says otherwise. We can seat you in economy, for now." The phrase "for now" stung. Passengers nearby exchanged glances. A man in a navy blazer smirked, muttering, "Guess VIP means something different these days." The businessman beside him chuckled. Ava repeated calmly that there must be a mistake. But the attendant's tone hardened. "Ma'am, you're causing a scene. Please gather your belongings." As if on cue, a male crew member arrived, voice carrying across the cabin. "You'll need to vacate this seat immediately." The words "vacate this seat" hit like an eviction notice. Now the stares multiplied. Some passengers leaned back, enjoying the drama. Others simply looked through her as though she weren't there. And then there were the few, eyed soft with pity, who did nothing. Reluctantly, Ava rose. The briefcase felt heavier than usual as she lifted it, each step down the aisle an exercise in composure. Whispers followed her, punctuated by the occasional stifled laugh. She passed rows of strangers, each face telling a different story: curiosity, judgment, mockery. Her eyes caught on a small group in business attire, one shaking his head and muttering, "First time in business class, I guess." In the economy, the narrow seat felt like a deliberate downgrade. She settled in without a word, ignoring the curious glance of the passenger beside her. She pulled out her tablet, fingers moving swiftly over the screen. They didn't know it, but Ava was not just a passenger. She was the airline's most prominent private investor, holding a silent, controlling stake through her corporate holdings. From her seat, she observed. She noted the warmth lavished on white VIP passengers, extra drinks, casual jokes, personal introductions. Meanwhile, passengers of color received brisk mechanical service. She took mental snapshots, the name tags of the attendant who had approached her, the colleague who had enforced the move, even the man who had taken her seat now, laughing comfortably with the attendant as though they were old friends. Every detail filed away. Every insult is stored. To the crew, Ava was invisible now. But she had no need for attention. Not yet. The flight was long, and revenge, she knew, was best served without haste. As the plane touched down hours later, the energy shifted. Passengers gathered their things, eager to disembark. Ava's phone buzzed, a message from her assistant. All set. They're expecting your confirmation. She closed her tablet, smoothed her jacket, and rose. But instead of heading toward the exit with the rest of the economy, she walked forward, past curious glances, past the startled eyes of the attendants. She stopped in front of the lead flight attendant in the VIP cabin. Her voice was calm but carried an edge sharp enough to cut glass. "Effective immediately," she said. "Your contract with this airline is terminated. Corporate security will escort you off this plane. The same goes for your colleague who assisted." "You," the attendant blinked, confusion flooding her face, until Ava continued, "You've just spent an entire flight humiliating one of the owners of this airline." Gasps rippled through the cabin. The man who had taken her seat sat frozen, color draining from his cheeks. Ava didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The weight of her words was enough to crush the air from the room. Within minutes, security personnel stepped aboard. The same crew who had smirked and dismissed her were now packing their belongings, heads lowered in shame, and every passenger, those who had laughed and looked away, now knew exactly who they had underestimated. The walk down the jet bridge felt different this time, not as a passenger who had been diminished, but as someone who had turned quiet dignity into a weapon. Behind her, the murmurs continued. Some were shocked, others whispered praise under their breath. The crew who had once strutted down these aisles now walked silently, flanked by corporate security. The white passenger who had taken her seat avoided her gaze, staring hard at the floor. The confidence he'd worn earlier had evaporated. Outside, the cool night air greeted her like an ally. She inhaled deeply, letting the moment settle. This wasn't about power for power's sake. It was about principle, ensuring people wielded prejudice like a casual tool felt its cost. In the days that followed, the airline released a statement affirming its zero-tolerance policy for discrimination. But Ava knew the truth. Real change would only come when enough people stopped letting moments like this pass without consequence. She thought of all the times she had stayed silent, telling herself it wasn't worth the fight. Tonight proved that silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. Her last words to the press were simple. "Some people mistake quiet for consent, but the quiet ones? We're just deciding when to speak." Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos.